See protest for Abuja. See the video. I will watch the video.
The National Electoral Commission (INEC) decision to approach the Court of Appeal in Abuja for an order varying the permission of court had previously granted the People's Democratic Party and Labour Party to inspect materials used by the Commission in the conduct of the February 25 presidential election has elicited questions about the integrity of the recently held poll. INEC said the request was predicated on the need to reconfigure bimodal voter accreditation system BVAS using the presidential election before deploying them for March 11 governorship and State House of Assembly election. However, some IT experts who didn't want their names in print were unanimous that granting the order will allow the electoral body to tamper with the evidence and compromise the pending litigation on the controversial poll and further worsen the credibility of the entire process. The IT expert believed that INEC does not need to reconfigure the BVAS ahead of governorship and State House of Assembly elections. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, LP, and LP Peter Obi had, in the challenge of the outcome of the presidential election, recently obtained the order of court to inspect materials used in the conduct of polls, including BVAS. INEC had declared a candidate of All Progressive Congress APC Bola Tinubu winner of the presidential election, which was marred by technical challenges. Meanwhile, the leadership of the People's Democratic Party said yesterday during a protest march to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in Abuja that there was ample evidence that the Commission directly aided rigging of the February 25 presidential election, which produced the All Progressive Congress presidential candidate Bola Tinubu as president-elect. PDP had at the protest its presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, his running mate Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, national chairman of the party Dr. Yocha Ayu, and other leaders and governors. It accused INEC of deceiving Nigerians by deliberately deactivating the bimodal voter accreditation system BVAS during the election. Amaka Ode Walker has the reports.
All the provisions of the current electoral law has been completely contravened.
The protest, led by the PDP flag bearer Atiku Abubakar, the party's national chairman Yocha Ayu, amongst other top leaders and members, making their way to the national headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Abuja, blocking its entrance upon arrival. The opposition leaders are demanding that INEC must, as a matter of urgency, review and even cancel the election and conduct a fresh one that will be respected not only by Nigerians but by the international community.
We were protesting and INEC was not listening. They were bent on going with this, announcing these results. In fact, this protest is going to continue for a very, very long time.
What we are here doing today is to tell the nation, INEC and the world that the Nigerian people are not comfortable with the result that was announced. What is in court is an argument on the basis of law, and the court will determine what they have to determine, but the Constitution recognizes the right of citizens to express themselves in the areas that they are not comfortable.
This peaceful march is not about Aswaju Amenema. It's about the soul of Nigeria. It's about peaceful and credible elections. We want the electoral body to always play by the rules.
We need INEC to know that it won't be business as usual. That from now on we will challenge everything. And we have started, we won't stop.
The protest is coming less than a week after a certificate of return was issued to the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The Independent National Electoral Commission, while promising to address the perceived grievances of the People's Democratic Party regarding the presidential election outcome, reassures the party of its neutrality.
I have received this particular protest letter on behalf of the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, and I promise you that this letter will be transmitted to him immediately. If there are remedial issues to be dealt with, we are going to deal with those remedial issues. But I want to assure you that this commission is a listening commission. This commission is a public trust, and this commission belongs to the Nigerian people. Our allegiance is to the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This commission does not have allegiance to any political party. We don't have any allegiance to any candidate.
For these protesters, they have only one demand from the electoral umpire.
Section 50, Section 60 and 64 have clearly stated how INEC should conduct the election, how they should transmit the result, how they should declare the result. They have not followed any.
understand why INEC, after voting, after coming out, we see cancellation on our results and want to understand, want to know why our result has been cancelled.
And Yakubu Mahmoud promised us we cannot collect the result with hand. You can collect the result with, you can post it to situation room. But we are surprising when Yakubu Mahmoud is collecting the result. If you look at the whole state, we won the election, but our election was cancelled.
We are here to claim what belongs to us. We want to collect our mandate, which is Alhaji Atiku Abubakar.
9 days after the conduct of the presidential and National Assembly elections all across the country, the opposition People's Democratic Party have just protested, the first in many, according to its presidential candidate, to come, because according to them, it is the right of the party and Nigerians as a whole to protest, even though litigation has been instituted in the court. And according to them, they have just one request. INEC should review the outcome of especially the presidential election and maybe even announce a cancellation due to its own flaws, speaking of the flaws of INEC. But if that would be done, only time will tell. I'm Makalde Walker, Arise News.
Thank you so much for that report, Makalde. Ayo, your take on this?
Yes, all right. So very quickly, I'll just say that's the beauty and power of democracy playing out there. The right to peaceful protest, which the PDP has done in Abuja yesterday, protesting the outcome of the presidential election, which took place on Saturday, the 25th of February, 2023. No surprises there, as they have complained that this was quite a show of shame in terms of how this played out. They have complained about the process and complained about the fact that they felt that the INEC chair was hasty in announcing the winner and the outcome of the elections, despite the many controversies that marred these elections. The PDP is not alone in this stance, even though they're the only ones who'd come out to protest yesterday. Other political parties have joined them in saying this, in taking this stance, and some international observers have also talked about the election not meeting the expectations of Nigerians and marred by a number of irregularities. Even INEC themselves have come out to say that there were some issues or challenges faced during the weekend. So again, this is just a peaceful protest. They have said they will be going to court, and they have applied an ex parte order to the appeal court to ask that they are able to inspect the materials that were used on Saturday, including the BVAS. And that brings me to the first story you talked about, Rufai, in terms of INEC seeking to reconfigure the BVAS and the controversies around this. Some people have called this conspiracy theory. Some people have called this, much ado about nothing. It's just routine maintenance by INEC. But this is quite suspicious. You know why? Because the two political parties who were who came second and third, respectively, PDP and Labour Party, have gone to the appellate court as well to seek an order, like I said, to inspect the materials used. And a critical material that would be inspected and would become evidence in court is the BVAS. So the question of the timing for the reconfiguration of BVAS, even though INEC has said, and we must be fair in terms of the reasons they've given to want to reconfigure before Saturday's elections, is so that they're able to prepare for the gubernatorial and State House of Assembly elections. To simply put, what does it mean to reconfigure? It means to reset or rearrange elements of a system. In this case, the software, and sometimes they rearrange the settings. Now, what the parties are saying is that if they do so, there's the possibility of them of changing certain things that would impact the outcome or the evidence they present before court. Why are people suspicious of INEC's moves? Unfortunately, INEC hasn't proven to the people that they are credible based on the way that the elections were run. We've talked about the lack of integrity in terms of how they ran the elections on Saturday, particularly with regards to what they said emphatically. They've been quoted a number of times saying and they failed on, which was very important for the transparency of the last elections. Therefore, they've asked, their legal team have also I've put an application to the courts asking for a reconfiguration, and they're saying that if they don't reconfigure on time, it could potentially mean that they would have to postpone the elections. And you know what I say, Rufai and Dr. Bati, the truth is that if it would mean that Nigerians feel confident in the outcome of elections, then if it means them halting, if they are not ready, then they should not go ahead. We don't want a situation like this. When people feel aggrieved or they feel cheated, what you see yesterday, or what you saw on screen a few minutes ago is what will happen, and that's even peaceful. Thank God for that things have been peaceful, and we encourage Nigerians to continue to maintain the peace and seek redress legally. However, if INEC say that they have to do certain things before Saturday or before the gubernatorial elections must hold, then we will wait until they do that. But let the Labour Party and the PDP go inspect the materials, let the courts, because they're still going to approach the courts, let the courts rule before they begin to tamper with or touch this equipment. That's what Nigerians are asking for.
Dr. Bati?
Okay, let's cut to the chase. And it is as follows. INEC coming forward to say it should be allowed to reconfigure BVAS ahead of the March 11 gubernatorial and House of Assembly elections will amount to seeking to tamper with the evidence. The rest, in this case, before the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, represented by the Court of Appeal, is a BVAS. So if we tamper with the rest in any particular case, then of course you have already derailed the expectations and the substance of the matter before the court. And I do not think that INEC should be allowed in any way whatsoever to tamper with the evidence. If INEC goes to reconfigure, then it means that the main issue in the case, BVAS and IREV, will have changed. And the ex parte order injunction granted last Friday by the court, allowing the Labour Party and the People's Democratic Party to inspect evidence and collate evidence, that order would have been rendered a nullity. INEC says that if it is not allowed to reconfigure BVAS, then the March 11 elections will probably not hold. That's blackmail.
Cheap blackmail. Cheap.
And that blackmail is unacceptable. It raises the question about the credibility of INEC as an institution and the integrity of the personalities in charge of INEC. And that is as follows. Before the elections on February 25, INEC told everybody that they were ready. They were prepared. INEC even went as far as saying that in the event of a runoff that may be invoked by Section 134 subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution, that INEC had already prepared for extra ballot papers. They were preparing for the possibility of a runoff. They did not prepare for the possibility of having enough BVAS and IREV that will work on the day. So I think it will be very difficult, for many Nigerians to accept this. And, INEC keeps knocking at its own integrity. And I have said that after all this is over, I don't know how Professor Yakubu Mahmood will be able to raise his head in distinguished company in this country. INEC's chairmanship being a graveyard of reputations. And it looks like, Yakubu Mahmood may go the way of some of his predecessors in that office. That's that about INEC. The second part of it is the protest by the People's Democratic Party. Well, so far, the People's Democratic Party has followed peaceful means. The party has gone to court, which is what we expect. Yesterday, the party leaders organized, a peaceful protest for about 2 hours, from around 11:15 till about 1:40 p.m. From the Legacy House, the headquarters of the PDP in Abuja, in the Maitama area, to the headquarters of INEC, where they presented a letter of protest. From the reports, it was basically a peaceful protest. The right to protest is constitutionally guaranteed. And that's why we say, okay, the political parties so far, nobody has taken the law into their hands. They've adopted the mode of peaceful protest. And that in itself is commendable. If you look at the protest letter that was received by Festus Okoye, the National Commissioner in charge of voter education, and the chairman of that committee on voter education. He talks basically that the election of February 25 was a charade. He says basically that what INEC has done is to murder democracy in Nigeria. It accuses INEC of violating both the Constitution and the Electoral Act. All of these are issues, malpractices, irregularities that the People's Democratic Party has already taken to court. And we hope, as the law stipulates, that the party will have its day in court, other political parties will have their day in court. Let us have argued elsewhere this morning. You know, election matters are of a different species. The burden of proof is high on the part of the plaintiff. They look at substantial compliance. The burden of the presumption of regularity is on the part of INEC. So this could be big issues in the prosecution of the case. But it is good that nobody has taken the law into their hands. What will be clear to the People's Democratic Party is that the G5 governors have done substantial damage. The PDP lost its strongholds in the southeast. It lost its stronghold in Rivers, in Oyo State, in Benue, because the party was fragmented. And this is part of what we have seen in the outcome of this election. And then you had the Labour Party, which was a breakaway, more or less, in terms of the personality of the presidential candidate from the PDP. That also dealt a heavy blow to the People's Democratic Party. In 2015, the party failed to learn its lessons. It failed again in 2019. Well, would the PDP learn its lessons this time around? As for Waziri Atiku Abubakar at 76, 6 times running for the presidency, what does the future portend for him? Having raised these two issues, however, you know, we know the point that he says that the protest will be continuous. As long as it is peaceful, the right to protest is in order. But I find the reaction of the APC, the All Progressives Congress, whose candidate has been declared president-elect, I find the response supercilious, contemptuous, and unnecessarily triumphal. To the extent that we have heard from Festus Keyamo, who has said that, well, yes, they were wearing a black uniform to go and protest, that these were the undertakers of the People's Democratic Party. Mr. Bayo Ononuga says that, well, Atiku should respect himself, that at 76 and as a former vice president, he shouldn't be going about running up and down, staging a protest. The APC officially has also said, you know, people should disregard the PDP. The PDP is a fragmented opposition party. Well, I think the spokespersons for the APC should also, you know, moderate their triumphalism. INEC has said, well, we'll look into the grievances. It's not up to INEC anymore to look into the grievances. The matter has already gone to court. But the integrity of INEC as an institution has been called to question. The credibility of its principal officers, no matter what they say, will be part of the major residue of this entire electoral process.
Okay, couple of things. I just hope I get the time. Number one, INEC should please, for the love of mercy, stop the cheap blackmail. If they're trying to blackmail us now with the elections, why is that when people call their attention to the fact that there were flaws in the process, why didn't they stop then to have a rethink? INEC should stop this cheap blackmail because they're beginning to look suspect. The damage is much already. We don't know what people are even saying about us on the international community. I think it was the 79 elections that made Fela release a song called Babala Nonsense. Crazy democracy, demonstration of Chris. But the sad reality is that over 40 years after, we are still saying, as Fela said, we have turned our democracy into a demonstration of Chris. This same BVAS INEC wants to tamper with. There's empirical evidence that says any attempt to reconfigure BVAS would disrupt all the information on it. And let's not forget that the pictures of the results were taken on the BVAS. So you want to reconfigure. Reconfigure simply means reconfigure the setting, reformat, wipe out most of things there for a software upgrade. So what happens to the pictures taken on the BVAS? What happens to the accreditation done on the BVAS? Accreditation records. We also have empirical evidence that says that information on the BVAS sometimes even take time to load about a month after. You remember the Osun election incident? Yeah. That we had a technical expert here that came to tell us that there were even variations in the results given to the party that first requested the BVAS information and the backend and the PDP. As we speak now, for the love of mercy, I think those materials should be taken away from INEC now and kept in a safe place. Because I don't trust the integrity of INEC still having those BVAS materials in their custody as we speak. If we want to truly scrutinize the process. Did INEC tell us that they were going to upgrade the BVAS before now? Were they not supposed to stipulate in the own guidelines they put out? And why do you need to reconfigure the BVAS? Is it not the same voting register it will have? And the same polling unit is allocated to? The same INEC that want to reconfigure has not been able to tell us what caused the technical glitch. All of a sudden, the same INEC that claimed that his commission was going to meet to review the... I've not been able to come out with a review. And now they are so quick to go to courts to vary the hitherto ex parte given. People should not pee on our backs and tell us it's raining. Because we are fast turning this democracy into a demonstration of craze. Nigerians are not crazy. Let people be able to inspect. If INEC is not ready to do the election, INEC should take the blame, not try to blackmail Nigerians and hoodwink them into thinking that it is without this BVAS reconfigure that they will not be able to do what they ought to do. Furthermore, I think we should even investigate this INEC BVAS contract. Because it's very suspect too. What was the due diligence behind those that were given the contract? How much did every BVAS machine cost? How much did it take to align the software in it? How much does it take to run the back end? I think INEC should be open to public scrutiny. And I think the EFCC should also investigate INEC on this BVAS machine and everything. But please, in all of this, they should remember, Nigerians are watching. And Nigerians are quiet because they want to believe in the process and trust in the courts. And when they are quiet, they also have a right to protest like the PDP protested. And that's why I'm very shocked that rather for the APC to keep quiet and their spokesperson to keep quiet, they keep fanning the embers of war and inflaming the situation. For the APC members that forget in a hurry, that are taunting the PDP for protesting and wearing black, saying they are wearing funeral clothes, I am sure they remembered that President Muhammadu Buhari at a point protested. And when he protested, tear gas was used. And that led to the judgment that Femi Falana got, that you don't even need to get permission before you protest. Dr. Abati, you are the legal person. Am I lying on that? We all remember it was that protest, as a result of the inhalation of the tear gas, that led to the demise of Juba Kadibu. Let's not forget, people protested in the past. So if they can protest too in the past, the question is, why is it wrong for the PDP to protest? Why are they making the work even harder for President-elect Bola Tinubu? Because you see, and this is for President-elect Bola Tinubu, I hope these your spokespeople don't lead you astray. Because what they are doing is, they are doing the greatest disservice to you as a person. This is looking to try triumphalist. This is looking too vindictive and puerile, to say the very least. This is looking too petulant. That anytime people have a constitutional right to challenge something, you either tell them to go to court and say they don't have any right to talk. I keep asking, if we want to build a country, it is righteousness that will exalt this country. Because the process that a lot of people have complained against favors you now doesn't make it right. And that's why when I asked the APC person here, that was here yesterday, that you claim that they were rigging too in favor of Labour Party in the Southeast. So why don't you just call for a redo of the election if you feel disgruntled? He couldn't talk. That speaks volumes. We should stand for righteousness. Because it favors you, even if it's not a just system, you should speak against it. Because what goes around comes around. Life is like a boomerang. And we keep keeping these hurts. Yorubas have been saying, Umbo, awala dede. It's in favor of you now. You are happy. But when it comes around, hope you will not complain. People have a right to protest. Peacefully, I should say. And nobody should mock anybody. All we want to do is to build a great country, devoid of partisanship. And Nigerian people, please, it's time for you to shine your eye. The political class are one. It is who will benefit the people and the processes that the people will stand up for. And if you are draining, you are waning in terms of inspiration, let Jennifer's doggedness inspire you. Despite the fact that she was hurt in the face, she continued with her process. She ensured she was going to vote. We must all embody the